Okay, so for this section on solving simple interest applications, I'm going to go through all of the examples at once, give the solutions for the think pair shares, and then I'll have a separate video just showing the think pair shares for each of these. So what is simple interest? So interest is a percentage you collect with a savings account or a percentage you pay on a car loan, credit card debt, or a mortgage. So simple interest. If an amount of money called the principal is invested or borrowed for a period of time in years at an annual interest rate, the amount of interest earned or paid is calculated using this formula. So I equals PRT, where I is interest, P is the principal, R is the rate, and T is in time, and that's in years. So let's look at this first example. So Arielle invested a principal of $950 in her bank account that earned simple interest at an interest rate of 3%. How much simple interest did she earn in 5 years? So we use this formula, I equals PRT, and we have to kind of look at what information we were given to see what values we can substitute for each of these variables in this equation. So here it says the principal is $950. So we know P equals 950. Let's see, and then earn simple interest. Okay, that's good to know. At an interest rate of 3%. So that means that the interest rate, 3%, we can write it as a fractional decimal as 0.03. And then it says how much simple interest. Okay, so that's I, meaning I equals what? We don't know. Did she earn in 5 years? So that's our amount of time. And time has to be in years, so it's already there. So now to calculate interest, we just have to plug in the values for each of these variables. So P is 950, rate is 0.03, and the time is 5. And when you calculate all three of those together, the amount of interest that Arielle made was $142.50. Okay, so you pretty much just use that formula and plug in the known values. In order to use this, you've got one equation. So with one equation, you can only solve one unknown. So out of these 4 unknowns, you should be given 3 of them in order to have this equation to be useful. Okay, the answer for this next think pair share, you should get interest equals $2,500. So let's move on to the next example. Okay, so find the simple interest rate. Hank borrowed $7,500 to pay for tuition. In 5 years, Hank paid back $1,500 in interest, in addition to the $7,500 borrowed. What was the simple interest rate? Okay, so what was the simple interest rate? Okay, we don't know what the rate is. So let's look at I equals PRT. And let's look at what we've got here in this problem. So it says Hank borrowed $7,500 to pay for tuition. Okay, so our principal, the amount that we started with was $7,500. Now it says in 5 years, so that means our time is 5. Hank paid back $1,500. $1,500 in interest. So that means I is equal to 1,500. All right, so out of this initial equation with 4 unknowns, we have the values of 3 of them. So that leaves us with 1 equation and 1 unknown. So we should be able to solve for the unknown. And the unknown we're solving for is rate. Now this would be, this is actually a good opportunity to show how instead of plugging these numbers in first, let's rearrange this formula to solve for the rate, and then we'll plug the numbers in second. So in order to get rate by itself, what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by P and T. And so the T's cancel and the P's cancel. So we're left with the rate is equal to the interest divided by the principal times time. So I'm going to write this on the other side because we're writing from left to right. So the rate is equal to the interest divided by the principal times time. Okay, so now we've got the rate that we want to know. We're trying to calculate that. So this is our unknown on one side, and everything else that's known is on the other. So our interest is 1,500. Our principal was 7,500, and our time was 5. So after you punch that into your calculator, you should end up with a rate of 0.04, which is equal to 4.0%. All right, the next think, pair, share. This one, you should calculate a rate equal to 5.5%. All right, let's move on to the next example. So this one, we're going to find the principal. So Sean's new car loan statement said that he paid $4,866.25 in interest from a simple interest rate of 8.5% over 5 years. How much did he borrow to buy this car? So how much did he borrow to buy this car? What was the original amount? It's asking for the principal amount. So we need to figure this out. So we've got I equals P R T. Okay. So here we know the interest rate was 8.5%. So the rate is 0.085. And it says over 5 years. So this means T is equal to 5. And it says here, Sean's new car loan said he would pay $4,866.25 in interest. So that means I is equal to 4866.25. So what we want to know is we want to know P. So let's kind of do the same thing that we did before. Let's rearrange this formula so that we get P all by itself. So we're going to divide this side by rate and time, and we have to do the same to the other side. So we have the principal is equal to the interest divided by the rate times time. And so the interest was $4,866.25 all over the rate, which is 0.085 times the time, which is 5. And this should give you a principal amount of $11,450. All right, and this think, pair, share, the answer you should get is 9,600. All right, give those think, pair, shares a try.